Hello everyone, Vincent Briatore here. Hope everyone's doing well. It's been a while. Decided to do a new video, a long form video discussing my trip to Los Angeles, right? Doing it from a new location, which is my office downstairs. Kind of set up some impromptu equipment here, actually on my phone and just a regular microphone. So anyway, I had some legitimate business in Los Angeles. I'm usually very frugal, save like 90% of everything I earn, but I decided why not look into flying private? I was gonna go by myself, then I decided to take the family. And my son is 4, so I live in the Panhandle in Florida, in a place where there's a regional airport that has no direct flights to Los Angeles. Basically, I'd be flying either to Miami. Well, that Miami's too far, so I'd actually be Atlanta, right? So Atlanta, then Los Angeles. Total travel time, if you're lucky, 12 hours with a 4-year-old. I know people do it all the time, but just didn't seem very feasible. So I'm like, well, let's look into private flights, right? I thought, how much could it be? 5-6 grand per flight hour, right? Well, it's a lot more. Close to $10,000 per flight hour. We ended up taking a mid-sized jet, a Hawker 800 XP or something like that, so it could do a direct flight with no stops from my town all the way to Los Angeles. Cost each way, you're talking close to 40 grand. I know, $40,000. So you can see I have some footage here each time, the first flight and the return. Positives, right? Let's talk about positives. You choose the time, right? So I chose to leave at 10:30. I'm like, you know what? 10:30 in the morning. Let's do that, because I have a routine where I get up at 6. My wife and kid, they sleep till my kid wakes up. We all sleep in the same bed, right? He's 4. And I get up and I have some tasks that I complete. And if I wake up early enough, around 6, I can get it done around 9, so we could prepare and at our leisure get to the airport. So plane's there, it don't leave until you're there. I mean, within reason. Maybe they start billing you fees if you're late, right? But got there early. They're ready for us. It's a small FBO, right? Which is I always say fob, but it's actually not a fob. It's FBO. You go to this small, and so it's a smaller office, right? Basically, just a couple of cats working there, right? And you just walk in, jet's right there. You walk off to the jet. They load your baggage in there. There's no real checking IDs. There's nothing. There's no TSA. No taking off your shoes. No being haggled. Like I said, they were waiting for us. They had already refueled. Pilot was there. He's like, "It's you guys?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And that's all your stuff? And it's like, "All right, let's go." Takes it for you. You hop in. They take off right away. You're talking, there's no delay. Also, this is a small airport, but I'm just saying there was no delay, no waiting, anything. We take off. The trip was maybe 4.5 hours. There's reasonable amount of snacks. They had champagne on the flight. My son, he got to kind of climb around, run around. I can't imagine how much more difficult it would have been on a traditional flight. But, they had internet, but the internet was not really reliable. That was one of the big things that sold me on the idea, actually, was, I could work on the flight, right? So I did some tasks in the morning, and then other tasks that I would usually do, up until from noon to 3. I'm like, I could just bang that out. It's just emails banging out on the flight, right? Well, they didn't have like Starlink, right? So older aircraft. And it was a smooth flight. It's nice on the inside, but you're not getting, that level of internet that I was expecting, right? And I told the lady that booked the flight, I'm like, internet's important, man. That's like one of the main reasons people fly private, right? So they can work on the flight. But I guess I should have asked and made it a priority. But it's also, I guess, if you don't have satellite internet, it's kind of depends on the weather, the clouds, yada yada. So halfway through the trip, it started getting better, the internet, because there was no clouds, no nothing, right? Getting close to Los Angeles. We flew into Van Nuys FBO, right? You could have flown into LAX, but LAX, they said there was more traffic. And it was like, $1,500, $2,000 more, right? So I'm like, Van Nuys, fine. Booked a hotel at Four Seasons in Beverly Hills. We arrived there, the come on, see, insomma, the place that books it for you, right? They already had a car complimentary. Turns out, same car we have actually. It's a Yukon Denali, right? All black. It parks up at the what they call the lane, right? So the lane is where the aircraft pulls in, like it's a parking spot. So as it's rolling up, we noticed the SUV just right there, and it literally drives up to the door of the plane. So when they put that door down, they're already loading your luggage into the SUV. You walk off from the aircraft into the SUV, and boom, you're gone. Like, it's that smooth. So it's a pretty surreal experience, right? Take us to the hotel. Hotels are like, yeah. And that's the thing. The hotel I think I booked was like $1,200 a night. They have cheaper rooms, but I was just like, hey, whatever. I thought, man, that's a lot. But when you think about how much you actually end up spending on the flight, that's relatively a drop in the bucket. So we stayed there 2 nights, and then 2 nights we moved to Santa Monica. Stayed at the Regent Hotel. I think I have some footage of the Regent Hotel. Regent Hotel was way nicer. And you're talking about same thing, around $1,200-1,500 a night. But that was the minimum to get into the Regent. So anyway, we stayed there. We had a good time. Just walked around a little bit, left from smaller airport, maybe an hour out of town. And again, we got there early. They were already ready. We left early. Boom. It's a hell of a way to travel. I don't know. The whole trip might have been 6 figures. So it's a splurge. It makes you realize, like, there's people that travel like this all the time, and I obviously am not going to do that. I think maybe it would be more appropriate for shorter trips, like say you're going to New York or something. I don't know, an hour or two, because then you can take a light jet, right? Light jet's going to cost you a little bit less per hour. Go and come back. Nonetheless, still, I mean, even on a small, you're still talking 25-30 grand, maybe round trip to go an hour or two away of flight time, meaning an hour or two away. But yeah, I tried to calculate like how you could justify it financially from a business standpoint, and I think that you're talking, man, you'd have to take down at least $2 million a month for that to actually make sense, right? From a flight perspective, to say, well, it would take 12 hours flying commercial, and you get that down to 5 hours. Those extra hours, how much is your time worth? Well, if you make it $2 million a month, then that would make sense, right? So you could fit that in. But it definitely motivates you to realize that that's even an opportunity, right? And that you can get to that point. And if I gotten this far, I can keep going, and one day that can be the standard mode of travel. Definitely going back to commercial, it's going to be rough. Although, I rarely fly. I can't even remember the last time I flew. I think the last time I flew, maybe I was flying Phoenix to here. And that was over a decade ago. So A+ for the experience. The cost, I try not to think about it. I really try not to think about it, especially because the market's down, right? The past month or so, I'm down like $250,000 the past few weeks. And I'm like, Madonna, could have used that extra money. But what are you going to do? For me, I'm a big saver, but a lot of times in business and life, right, you can focus on cutting costs, which is always a good thing, but you can also focus on increasing revenue. And sometimes these experiences, flying on a private jet or something like that, can motivate you more to push that income higher, right? Because there's only so much that you can save and cut costs, right? But your ability to increase revenue is conceivably, arguably limitless, right? So I don't know. It gives me a lot of pause and thoughts for the future. Anyway, I know some people on the short I made had some negative comments like arrogant and yada yada. Really, I'm just sharing the experience. You guys need to realize I did not come from money. I did not come from wealth. I've never even flown first class. So this was a full circuit transition. I'm very lucky to be in the position I'm in. I also worked very hard and hustled my way to get here. And I just wanted to share something with you guys from my perspective and be very blunt. I don't mind talking about numbers either. It's like, well, this is the reality. This is what it costs, and it's nuts. And it makes you kind of think of, what people are spending doing this shit. And if you think like, like the NetJet cards, I was looking into that, and you would assume that buying a lot of hours from one of these charter services or whatever would reduce your cost per hour. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because you're buying into a certain fleet that usually has a much higher standards for how they keep their planes, the experience of their pilots, the amenities, the service, and all this different stuff, right? So you would actually end up spending more buying into a fleet than you would call in, the run-of-the-mill charter service, or basically not even charter service, but a broker. Right? That's who I got. I got a broker and said, listen, what's the cheapest you can get me over here on, decent aircraft, right? You want to go real cheap, talk about prop planes or whatever. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have more of a jet setting experience. But I don't know. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and you feel free to comment if there's anything else you guys would want to know. I'll be more than happy to share. If I ever do it again, right, I'm going to do more videos. That's my one regret. I didn't do enough videos. You can see in the one video when we're leaving, I'm kind of filming the guy's ass because I was keeping the phone low. I didn't want to make a spectacle of it seem like, this is my first time flying and be like, oh, you know what I mean? So I was just trying to keep it low key, but it was crazy. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. As always, buy red and sell green.